Hey all, just thought I'd do a nice little how-to vid for you guys. I think the first one that I do is gonna be how to do a rough terrain hex slash rubble hex. You can use it for either one. I use them in my games quite often, and they work out perfect because I can move them all around the map. I use a big felt map that's been hexed out, but I can move them, put them wherever I want on the map, and they're very easy and convenient and make it really great, really great. So I figured I'd show you all how to make one of those. Okay, first of all, let me run down through a list of ingredients or list of supplies you're going to need. First of all, obviously you're going to need a hex. Now, mine is a 1.5 inch hex because that's the size of hex I play on. But you know, you can use whatever size hex you want. 1.5 maps sheet, whatever size the maps are, you can use those. Or you know, I know a lot of people play on 2-inch hexes. Well, you can use a 2-inch hex. Just for the purpose of this, since I play on a 1.5 inch hex, that's what I'm going to use. Now, this particular one I got from Lico bases, but you know, you don't have to use theirs. This is just what I use. If you want to use plastic, cardboard, whatever. But I like the plywood bases because they do hold up, and I've taken mine to many conventions, and they've held up. So, like I said, first thing you need is a base. Second thing you need, if you see these larger chunks here, is a rubble of some type. Now, this is a plaster that I had poured out onto a styrofoam plate, let dry, and then I broke it up into small chunks. But if you don't want to go that route, I think Gale Force 9 makes some like concrete rubble, which is essentially the same exact thing. Except I have enough to last me forever, and it I have like 20 times the amount, and I paid the same price. So I went this route for very little effort. That's another ingredient you're going to need. Now here is yet another ingredient you'll need. Some kind of basing grit. You know, you can use whatever you want. I use a mixture, a custom mixture of like basing stuff from Gale Force 9. Yeah, I use a lot of their products, but this is the main one I use. It's, I think, all 3 sizes that they offer. So, but this is what you'll need, something like this, and you'll see why later. This part you don't necessarily have to use, but I do because it just makes it easy for myself. You're going to need a flocking material. Now, I use Woodland Scenics, but there are several other brands you can out that are just as good and work just fine. But Woodland Scenics is the one I use because I make a lot of terrain. I buy them in bulk. So you'll need some kind of base flock, grass, dirt, whatever you want to use. This is completely up to you if you want to put this on. But I put it on mine just because it makes it easy. Or not because it makes it easy, because if you can see around the edges here, I don't know how good my camera's picking this up or not. You can see it around a little bit around the edges there. I like to like mine is sitting in the middle of grass. Okay, another thing you're obviously going to need is paint. Now, for these, I use folk art paint. You know, that's because it was cheap. I think I got it at the craft store. I forget where I bought it. But you're going to need a couple different shades of gray. I use 4 different shades, but you can get away with 3. You could probably take this. I use dark gray, medium gray, battleship gray, and I also use dove gray. You could probably get away with you could take out the Battleship Gray or one of the two lighter shades, and you would only need 3, but I like to use 4. It's just my own personal preference. Oops. Okay. Now, and well, you are going to need glue. Now, for putting down the larger chunks, I would suggest you use super glue or something like that, because they're bigger, they're a little bit heavier. But that's my own personal preference. But it's just what I have on hand, and it's what I'm using. I use Zap-A-Gap. It's what I put my models together with, and it holds them together pretty well, so it'll keep the larger chunks on. That's what I use. For the other basing materials, simple white glue will do. This just happens to be Craft Smart, whatever, you know. I think I bought it because it was on sale, not because of the brand name. Brand name had nothing to do with this purchase. It was just white glue, and I needed it. And it's leaking. Now, if you want to hurry the process up a little bit, after you super glue the larger chunks down, you might want to have on hand some zip kicker. This is the aerosol version. I actually have both. And the pump version, it's both the same product, just one's pump, one's aerosol. I usually use this stuff on my models. And but if you want to hurry up the drying time when you use super glue or the Zap-A-Gap, that's a good idea to have. So, that's pretty much the supply. Oh, and of course, a can of flat black spray paint for priming. Again, if you want to do that step, you want to skip that step, that's fine. But I would really suggest you actually do that step. Okay, now this is not hard to do. It's just basically gluing and painting. But I'm just going through the process as I would do it. If you think you can, if you know of a better way to do it, or you prefer to do it some other way, you know what, go for it. Let me know. I may like your way better. Alright, so basically what we first need, obviously we need the blank base. And we're going to, I start off with the larger chunks of rubble. It's pretty simple. Just take the base. I like to put a couple, spots of glue on. Actually, I put one on for each side of the hex and one in the middle. I haven't really figured out where I'm going to put the rubble yet, but that's basically it. Then I'll just reach in here, take a couple chunks out, and if I think it's too big, it breaks in half. I break it up and just place it on in some random spots. There's nothing really, you don't have to be symmetrical or, worry about making sure it's perfect looking, because it's supposed to be messed up rubble or rough terrain hex. But once you're happy with how it looks, there you go. Now this is a step where if you'd want to use zip kicker, you would spray it on. You still got to wait for the zip kicker to dry, but like I said, if you want it, there. See, now the stones are glued on, there, or the rubble is glued on, it won't fall off. So, there's that step. And put this away. Now, I was smart enough to prepare some pieces ahead of time, so here's the pre-prepared piece. Yes, I know it looks different. Doesn't matter. Now, I want to go to the basing material. Oh, you know what? There is a piece of a supply that I use often for many, many projects. I forgot to mention. Something to put your glue and maybe your paint in. You know what this is? It's the plastic off of a blister pack from a mech. I save all the plastic for, for making terrain and painting. They make great disposable paint pots and mixing containers. Don't throw them out. Okay, now this is where I go to the craft glue. Open it up simple. Squeeze some out. Don't need a whole lot. Little more than I needed. But doesn't matter. So, I like to apply it with a brush. Apply it to the base with a brush. So, there's another supply I forgot. You want to have some water on hand. That's my dirty paint water. Deal with it. So, what you want to do, brush on the glue, same way you would do normal basing, just random spots, you know. You might want to try and get in between the stones, if you can see here, because in a step later, a later step, you understand why this will make it easier later on. Just get a little bit in there, or not a decent amount. Okay, got it in there. Could use some around the edges here, so I'll do that. Yeah, that looks good. Put a little bit more. You don't have to overdo it. You can put as much on or as little as you want. Again, doesn't matter. That's, I don't know if you can see because of that light, but I put it all in here, put some here, here, and here. That's all, not a whole lot. Move outside, and just bury it in there. See, got it buried. I pat down just for sakes. Pick it out and turn it over. Tap it to get any loose pieces off, so you don't waste any of your basing material. And there you go. It's everywhere that you put the glue. You can even see it in between there, I hope. Right there, 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 and there. It'll make sense, and it'll look good once it's all painted. So there was that one. Clean the brush out over off the camera here. For now, you're done with the brush, so you can put it in your paint cup or your brush cup or whatever you guys keep your stuff in. Alright, that was the one step. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not going to show you the priming step. I'm assuming you all know how to spray black spray paint onto anything. And even if you overspray it with these, not that big a deal. It's what you wind up with. Yes, again, I know. Okay, there you can see. Okay.